Hello and welcome to ClockTower Game Studios. Today we're going to be talking about when things don't go right. Mother. So, while working on what was supposed to be this week's video, a video about painting models, I knocked over my paint handle and broke my model. So here we're going to talk about how to fix it. So here we've got a set of flush cutters, we've got our broken model, which I'm still very salty about. These white models take a long time to paint, and are sadly very unforgiving when it comes to blemishes, such as a giant crack around the ankle, which I'm going to do my best to hide. But anyway, you're going to need your model, you're going to need your flush cutters, paper clip, and of course, super glue. Not plastic glue. Plastic glue won't bond at all to your paper clip, which is an integral part of this whole thing. Here I'm digging for my drill bit. I want to find a bit that is slightly larger in diameter than the paper clip I'm using. Now, you don't have to use paper clip. You can use finer wire, you can use small rods. You can even find kits that are made exactly for this thing where you get like a pin vise, the drill bits, and the rods. So now I'm just going to straighten out my paper clip, double check the diameter of my drill bit compared to it, and now we're just going to jump right in. One thing you want to note is the angle at which you need to drill into the model. So in this case, I've got an angle with a forward leaning model. So I don't want to go straight perpendicular into it. I want to set up at an angle that matches the lower leg of the model, like you see here. Now I'm just going to drill in nice and slow, take it really easy. This doesn't need to be a really deep hole. It only needs to be around 3, maybe 4 millimeters on either end. So once I've got down here to about the depth I want, I'm going to back the drill out. Now that'll help remove some of the debris. I'm going to shake that out, blow it out a little bit off camera there. Sorry for bumping the camera, it happens a couple times here. Now you can see I've been very careful to not go through the either edge of the ankle. I've been careful to preserve the break so it keeps that nice flush fit. Now I'm just going to get an idea what my depth actually ended up being. I'm also using the paper clip to clear out a little bit of the extra debris, make sure that it's a nice snug fit, that it'll go in deep enough. And there I'm just getting an idea what the fit is. Now I'm going to do the same thing to the leg. Nice and even, get it as centered as I can. Now remember, you've got a little bit of slop built into it by the size of the diameter of the hole. So that's going to give you a little bit of wiggle room, literally, so you can get the model positioned just as close to the original position as you can get it. Try and hide as much of that gap as you can. And here again, we're just going to test the depth of the hole, get a feel for it, and see what we want to do if we need to make any adjustments. So I'm just going to take my paper clip, clean out the debris a little bit, and test the depth. So there I've got probably around 2 mil, maybe a little less. Yeah, that looks like about 2 mil to me. Now I'm going to do the same thing and check the ankle. And it comes out a little deeper. It looks like closer to 3 than 2. And that's fine. You don't need this to be like plumb through the model. You just need it to be enough depth to give the pin and the glue more grip to grab onto than what it had originally. Or in this case, to fix that and make it a stronger bond, since that's obviously a weak point in the model. Now I wasn't satisfied with the depth of the hole in the shin, so I'm just going to bore it out a little bit more. And nice and easy, back the drill out when you're done so you don't leave a huge mess. And here we're gonna just get that cleaned out of the way and check our depth again. Try not to scratch our paint like I just did. And there you can see it's closer to 3 mil than it was before, and I'm pretty well happy with that. That should give me around 5 to 6 mil worth of pin through the ankle, and I'm just gonna cut it off at about the length I guessed. And here you'll get to see that my flush cutters are kind of weak, and I'm just being careful not to send bits flying everywhere. So there I've got a little peg cut off, and I'm gonna get it just dropped down into the ankle. And here I'm gonna test the fit and test the length to make sure it's exactly what I want. So now I'm just gonna get it nice and slowly put together, test it with my thumb right in your way so you can't really see what I'm doing. There we go. And so you can see there that I cut my peg a little bit too long, and I'm just going to take a few minutes, trim it off again and again until I get the fit right. You do this as many times as you want. You always want to start your initial cut a little long and then work your way down from there, because of course you can't put it back once it's cut off. And even though it's off camera, I'm still just checking the fit in between every cut. Sorry that it's not in camera, but just continue this process, like I said, as long as it takes until you get the right fit. Here you can see, finally, I've reached a fit that I'm satisfied with. The model sits down there nice and tight. It takes a little bit of wiggling, but that's fine. That's what the extra hole width was for. Now that we have the fit how we want it, everything's nice and tight. We're gonna just take a second and get things ready to glue together. So I'm getting my glue out, and I'm just gonna put a little puddle there straight on my mat. I'll have to clean that up later with some acetone, but that'll be all right. Of course, the smart thing to do would have been to get a little piece of plastic to put it on, but these mats clean up easy enough. So here, I'm just gonna take the end of my paper clip, and I'm going to put glue down in the hole. Make sure I work it all the way through the hole. You wanna not quite fill it up. You want to, when you press the peg in, you don't want it to displace so much that it leaves a bunch of goo around the outside of the mount. And once that's done, we're gonna do the same thing with the other half of the model. We're gonna just take some glue, work it down into the hole we drilled, get it in there the same amount. You want it to be almost full, but not quite. You want to leave enough so that whenever you put the peg in it, it displaces it, but doesn't overfill it. So there we go. Now that we've got that all done, we're going to go ahead and take the peg that we've got cut there, put it in the ankle first, and then get it all kind of set in there. Try not to glue it to yourself. It makes this a huge pain. And then we're going to slot the body down onto the ankle, and we're just going to kind of fiddle with it till we get the fit we want. Make sure that it's lined up as neatly as possible, then hold it in place. Give the glue a chance to set before you put the model down. This takes time and is fiddly, especially if you use different kinds of liquid super glues that dry a little slower. You might think about using a accelerator. I personally wouldn't use it for this because you want that time to fiddle and shift with it. So like, see here, I'm gonna mess with it a little more because I'm not quite satisfied with how the joint lined up at the front of the shin. You can actually see the gap there. So I'm just gonna mess with it a little bit more and try and minimize that as much as possible. And this takes me a bunch of tinkering until I'm completely satisfied with how the joint fits. Now, one thing to remember is that you've got time after this. You don't have to get it exactly perfect on the first go. I know I didn't. So what I ended up doing after this is I went back in and I coated the model. Even though I'm not finished painting it, I coated the model in a matte varnish, and that will kind of fill in that really fine gap. Now, don't expect that to fill in huge gaps, but it will fill in small ones, and that's really all you need for this. I'm hoping that I managed to get it at least lined up to where dry brushing won't pick it up. And next we're going to take a look at drilling and pinning smaller parts like the axe handle that I've broken on this S.E.E.R model I made. So this is a kit bashed model, and they're prone to having really fine small bits, especially with weapon swaps, which is what this guy, in this particular case, that's what the part that broke off was. So here you can see I'm picking out a drill bit small enough to fit my wire. In this, I'm actually using beading wire, which is really fine, really small, very flexible copper wire. So there I've picked out my drill bit, and I'm going to just dig in and get started just like I would have on the other ones. There you can see I'm size checking to make sure that it still has a little extra wiggle room just like the others. Again, you can see I'm using my drill because I don't have a pin vise, which I should probably correct because I've been doing a lot of this lately. On the one hand, using a drill saves a little time, but it's a lot more haphazard and a lot easier to make big mistakes. And it's really hard to get the little itty bitty pins, the pin drills like this one, into the pin vise. And with that, we're just going to dive right in and get to work. So here you can see I'm going to drill out the handle first and make sure it's as lined up as I can get it using my finger as a guide. I'm just going to kind of skim through this because the process is almost identical to the other one, and I'd like to go on to spend this time talking about some other stuff. First of all, big thank you to everybody that's watched the videos so far and that's followed all of our social media accounts. I can't thank you guys enough. Also, I'd like to announce that we finally have Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee, as well as Amazon affiliate links set up now. You'll be able to find links to all of those in the description below the video. And any and all support always helps. Even just liking this video, following us on any of the social media contact. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and of course we have the channel here you can subscribe to. The links for all that will be in the description below as well. I'm really looking forward to continuing with this, and I'm especially looking forward to the push we're making to get S.E.E.R going again. I'm really excited that we're going to be getting some playtesting done this month for the first time in a while, and I'm really looking forward to actually getting to play. Okay, now back to the video. Here you can see that this actually is done a little differently, since the tool we're using to put the glue into and onto the socket doesn't necessarily work as well. So here I'm using the wire itself, smeared a little of the glue into it, and I'm sliding it down into the hand of the centaur. Just nice and careful, try not to make a big mess of it because this join's really fiddly. So there I've got the glue in there, and I'm kind of cleaning up the mess around the outside because, like I said, I don't want to squish that when I put the axe handle back on and make a big mess of it. Next, I'm going to take the paper clip and I'm going to pick up a little bit of the glue. I'm going to smear it all the way up and down the exposed portion of the wire. Just get it nice and even all over there as much as you can. And then I'm going to slide the axe handle down onto it. This, of course, is going to make a mess because the glue is going to get squished out somehow, or a little bit anyway. Use a toothpick and clean that up. And now we're pretty much done. Just cleaning up the mess, getting everything set in place. We're going to get that axe handle straightened back out and let it set. And now that that's done, we're pretty well done with the project. So as you can see, you can pin anything of any different size. It's a great way to hold models that are really fiddly, have really delicate parts, or that get broken, hold those all together. So if you like the video, if you like our content, like us, like the video, subscribe, check out our Facebook and our Instagram account. The Instagram gets daily updates of what we're up to. Also, like I said earlier, we've now got Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and all that good stuff going on, so check that out. So models featured in this video were a heavily kit bashed and sculpted centaur that featured predominantly parts from Games Workshop and then some green stuff work. And of course, the first model seen was one of the Daughters of the Burning Rose by Anvil Industries. Can't stress how much I love those guys. So check them out. Their link will be in the description below as well. And coming up for the videos for the rest of the month and starting off next month, we're going to have the actual painting video for the Daughters of the Burning Rose. That should be posted at the end of the month on the 17th, and will put us back on track for getting the series with the Daughters of the Burning Rose wrapped up. I also have some upcoming videos or content planned that relate specifically to S.E.E.R and the playtest results. So come back looking for that too. And remember, at the Clock Tower, it's always game time.